花了我男朋友50多万，我又不想嫁给他，我父母让我挣钱还给他，我自己混得连饭都吃不起，拿什么还呀？我父母居然叫那个男的去起诉我，说我骗他的钱，你说天底下怎么会有这样的亲生父母呢？
This young lady is indeed very skilled. She can turn black into white, cleverly taking things out of context, muddying the waters to fish in troubled streams, and even explaining lies as if they were the truth, making things that don't exist sound as if they do. This kind of ability truly makes her a master among gold diggers. Her pursuit of material wealth seems so justified, as if she is high above others, arrogant, treating men as her personal ATMs, and full of vanity. She is always comparing herself to others, thinking that she is exceptionally outstanding. She has a thick skin and is never satisfied with taking advantage of others, never considering if she is being overly picky. Whether the man is very wealthy or just average in income, as long as she sets her sights on him, she'll take as much as she can until she drains him dry. When you spent 500,000 yuan from others, you felt no burden, but when asked to pay it back, you claimed you couldn't even afford food. You always seek the best things, insisting on buying the most expensive, looking down on affordable options. Your heart is filled with complaints every day, and although you don't have a true, rich life, it seems as if you're suffering from an incurable wealth disease for life. You talk only about money, not love, using relationships as a pretext to gain benefits. Your parents, watching you step by step toward this dangerous abyss, are very worried and don't want you to go further down this wrong path. After all, parents still have to consider their own reputation, but you have already lost your basic sense of shame. So, they can only painfully cut ties, shedding tears to preserve the family's honor, and they have no choice but to clean house. Therefore, young lady, don't blame your parents. You simply cannot understand their good intentions. You are already deeply trapped in this bitter sea, and only by turning back can you find a way to shore. Put down the sigh in your hand, completely change yourself, and turn over a new leaf. You can't keep doing this in the future. As the saying goes, those who have become gold diggers hold a large scythe in their hands, searching the world for targets. When they strike, they are precise and ruthless, always picking the men who look like chives to cut down.
Friends, I was really pissed off after today's blind date. The guy actually called me a gold digger. I thought to myself, a gold digger would at least be someone chasing after luxury bags, watches, and fancy cars, right? But today, I only had a bowl of spicy hot pot that he treated me to and drank a cup of milk tea. I even paid for my own movie ticket. The main reason is that I didn't like him, but he still called me a gold digger. This made me furious. How can one meal of spicy hot pot and a cup of milk tea turn me into a gold digger? It's truly infuriating. There's no way I would ever consider a man like him.
I've noticed that some men these days are kind of pathological. I bet they don't even have 4 figures in their pockets. Yet they keep calling us women gold diggers. This one is a gold digger, and that one is a gold digger. The man I went on a blind date with last week was introduced to me by a friend. My friend told me he wasn't particularly good-looking but was quite simple and not good at talking with girls. I thought I'd just get to know him first. Unexpectedly, at the beginning, he seemed to be quite thoughtful. Once, when I was feeling down, he took the initiative to buy me a cup of milk tea. Then I mentioned that I was with my colleague, and he directly ordered 2 cups for us. 2 cups of milk tea were just 30 yuan, nothing too extravagant. At that time, I thought he was quite considerate. But the more we talked, the more I realized how absurd he was. One day, we talked about the bride price. He asked me how much would be appropriate if we were to get married in the future. I told him that in my hometown, it's usually 180,000 yuan plus a gold ring, gold bracelet, gold necklace, and gold earrings. This is quite normal where I'm from, not particularly high. But then he said, then I'd need 100 years to marry you. At that moment, I thought he was joking, so I joked back, by then, we'll both be gone. He actually responded, even if we're gone, we could have a ghost marriage. I immediately felt a chill in my heart, but still thought maybe he just wasn't good at talking. Later, he told me about a guy born in 1990 that he met at the gym who had bought a villa, and his father wanted him to learn from that guy. When he told me this, I casually said, "Then just listen to your dad. Older folks always like to nag like this." To my surprise, he replied, "But I can't just conjure up a villa out of thin air. How about you support me by investing in my business when you open your shop?" I had mentioned to him before that I wanted to open a shop, but I never expected him to say that. So, I replied, "I haven't even opened my shop yet. How about you help fund me first so I can get it started?" He immediately transferred me 5.2 yuan and said, "This, combined with your savings, should be enough to start a business, right?" The most ridiculous thing was, once he sent me a video of the God of Wealth. I said I liked the God of Wealth, and then he found a costume of the God of Wealth online and sent it to me, asking me to place the order. He said, "Princess, please place the order." I was speechless and told him that while I did like the real God of Wealth, I didn't like people cosplaying as him. He immediately responded, saying even the real God of Wealth wouldn't just give you money directly. It all comes slowly. He kept saying things like this, and it started to annoy me. So, I told him I didn't like men constantly bringing up money. Unexpectedly, just because of what I said, he went around telling his friends that I was a gold digger, that I wasn't suitable for marriage, and that I had a bad character, claiming I couldn't endure hardships. The most absurd thing was when he drove his dad's Mercedes to pick me up. After getting in, he kept talking about the car and even tapped on the Mercedes emblem on the steering wheel, asking me, "You don't understand cars? You don't even know this?" I thought to myself, this isn't even your car, it's your dad's. What are you showing off for? After that, I blocked him. But he wasn't willing to let it go and started telling people that I was a gold digger and had spent a lot of his money. Thinking back, apart from the 30 yuan milk tea and one meal that cost 180 yuan, I hadn't really spent anything of his. In the end, I re-added him on WeChat and transferred him 250 yuan, with a note saying, "The gold digger is paying you back." He actually accepted the money and called me an idiot. It was truly unbelievable. Honestly, I think something's really wrong with this guy. I suggest he see a doctor soon and stop bothering us women.
相亲对象请我喝了一瓶3块钱的矿泉水。
The blind date treated me to a 3 yuan bottle of mineral water, then turned around and told the matchmaker that he spent a lot of money on me. When faced with a man like this, I was just speechless. Here's what happened. My neighbor enthusiastically introduced me to the son of her nephew's family. She said this guy was particularly honest and steady. He's 30 years old this year, and after graduating from college, he started working. He has been working very hard, and now he's a small leader at his workplace, having achieved some minor success. His family sees that his career is just taking off and feels it's time to find a suitable girl to date, so they thought of me. We arranged to meet for the first time at a mall near his home. Before meeting, he asked me how I was getting there after work. I told him I was driving and it would take about half an hour. Unexpectedly, this guy, in a commanding tone, said to me, "You have to come pick me up so I won't have to take the subway. It's quite a hassle. Hurry up, I'm not used to waiting for people." Hearing him say this, I immediately felt uncomfortable. But since it was on my way anyway, I didn't say anything further. When I got near his workplace, I called to ask where he was. In the end, I waited for almost 10 minutes before seeing a guy dressed in a dark blue Zhongshan suit and wearing black-rimmed glasses walking slowly towards me. If I had known in advance that he was a 30-year-old, I would have thought he was a 70-something old man. As soon as he got into the car, he didn't feel restrained at all. First, he looked around in my car, then started poking at the small storage compartment in front to see what was inside. After a while, he adjusted the air conditioning, then the seat, and even commented, "This seat cushion is really uncomfortable. Next time, you should switch to leather seats before you come pick me up." Hearing this, I was almost stunned by his self-important attitude, thinking to myself, you really think highly of yourself, don't you? I drove him to the mall. I thought we would go to the 3rd floor to have a meal, but he took me walking around the mall instead, and we ended up in the food court on the basement level. After walking around for a while, he finally gritted his teeth and bought a 3 yuan bottle of mineral water for me. As we walked, he complained, "These are such rip-off merchants. Normally a bottle is only 1 yuan at the supermarket, but here it's several times more expensive. It's such a bad deal. Why did I come to a place like this to buy waters?" Listening to him complain like this, I was already rolling my eyes internally several times, thinking that this meal was definitely not going to happen. So I suggested, "Why don't we just go our separate ways?" To my surprise, he said, "Sure, but why don't you drive me back home first since it's close by? It's no trouble for you since you're driving anyway." I thought, if it's so close, why don't you walk home yourself? Why insist on me driving you? So, I decisively declined, saying I had an urgent matter at home. After I got home, I immediately deleted this guy from my contacts. I thought this matter was over, but one day, my mom came home very angry and told me that the neighbor who introduced us had been telling everyone that I was materialistic, had high standards, and didn't like her relative's son. She also said I made him spend a lot of money. When I heard that, I couldn't help but laugh in frustration. So, to them, 3 yuan is considered a fortune. I thought to myself, if I really had dinner with him, wouldn't his family cling to me for a lifetime?
真的，女生在好骗的时候不要谈恋爱。
Sisters, you must always remember, when a girl is young and easily deceived by men, she should never fall in love. This morning, while scrolling through my phone, I saw a girl share that her boyfriend transferred 5.2 yuan to her on Valentine's Day, and she was debating whether to break up with him. After seeing this, I was instantly furious and reminded of a relationship I had in high school where I, too, was deceived by an ex-boyfriend who accused me of being materialistic. At that time, this guy seemed very upright in everyone's eyes, and I thought he was nice too. After some pursuit, I agreed to be with him. However, after we started dating, I discovered he had a peculiar habit. He liked wearing counterfeit brand shoes but told others they were real. Moreover, every time he bought new shoes, he loved to show off and even said to me, "You see, many people wear counterfeit brand shoes that look real, but they're actually fake." Hearing this, I naively believed him. My birthday falls during summer vacation, and that year, he told me he was going to work a part-time job to buy me a birthday gift. At that time, I was so moved, thinking we were just students, and he was treating me so well, I felt very guilty. After the summer vacation ended and school started again, he gave me my birthday present, a pair of headphones. He opened the package in front of me, and the packaging looked particularly worn, as if it had been squashed. I was curious about why a pair of headphones costing several hundred yuan would come in such a shabby package. At that moment, my bestie teased, "Aren't these headphones fake?" When I put them on, I found the sound quality was indeed poor, which made me suspicious. Since we weren't allowed to use phones freely at that time, I could only secretly use his phone. One time, out of curiosity, I opened his shopping records, and the result broke my heart. The pair of headphones he claimed cost hundreds of yuan actually only cost 19.9 yuan. I couldn't believe it at first, thinking he might have bought them from a different store. But after checking other purchase records, it was confirmed that this was indeed the birthday gift he gave me. Although I knew the truth, I didn't dare to confront him directly, and only told my bestie. She was also shocked, as everyone thought he was a very upright person and couldn't imagine him doing something like this. Even so, I was foolish back then, not daring to expose his lies, even afraid of making a scene and embarrassing him. So, I chose to endure it and pretended not to know. But this matter kept bothering me. I asked him several times if he had ever lied to me, and each time he said no. I was tormented inside but didn't know how to deal with it, so I kept enduring. We had to see each other every day back then, but gradually, I noticed he wasn't the same person I knew. Our school was fully enclosed, and every Saturday, we would be released to go out and buy food. I would ask him to accompany me shopping for clothes, but he always stood at the door, looking reluctant. When we went to the supermarket, he would grab the snacks he liked, but never paid for both of us. Whenever it was time to pay, he would either stand aside on the phone or wait by the entrance. Even though he helped carry the snacks back to the classroom, making others think he bought them for me, I knew the truth. Later, I proposed breaking up, but he was unwilling and repeatedly explained that he hadn't lied to me or given me fake gifts. I couldn't tolerate it any longer and told him that we should break up amicably, and I promised not to tell others that he gave me fake gifts. Even at the last moment of our breakup, he claimed he had bought 2 YSL lipsticks for me that were on the way and told me to wait. I refused directly, telling him not to make me wait any longer and to return them. After the breakup, I thought that was the end of it. But not long after, I found out through others that I had been labeled as a materialistic woman, as if all the fault was mine. It's truly exasperating. I don't think anyone has had a worse relationship experience than I did. Everyone is free to laugh at how foolish I was back then.
你年轻有没有吃过自己性格上面的亏啊？
Ladies, have you ever suffered losses on blind dates because of your personality? The day before yesterday, someone introduced me to a guy with good financial standing. So we were arranged to meet, and while we were chatting, I said I wouldn't eat. But later, I couldn't resist this man's enthusiastic invitation, and we ended up having a meal together. However, during the meal, I wanted to run away. The matchmaker immediately pulled me aside and asked, "What's going on? Weren't you two getting along well? Why are you leaving all of a sudden?" I bluntly said, "I think he's too ugly. I can't even eat sitting with him now. If we really got married in the future, I don't know how I could share a bed with him." After hearing this, the matchmaker didn't hold back either and directly rebuked me, saying, "You're just being ridiculous. You've met a man with such good financial conditions, and you should give him a chance. Many men don't have his economic standing, and haven't you always wanted to find a man with good financial conditions?" I had to respond, "Yes, you're right, you're very experienced and knowledgeable." Then I said to the matchmaker, "Auntie, I think I'm no longer that greedy for money. How about you help me find another match and introduce me to a new guy?" The matchmaker was very surprised and said, "You're only 26 years old, still very young. You can't just focus on a man's looks. In the future, if you want a good life, a man's financial condition is still very important." I replied, "Okay then, please introduce me to someone who is both rich and handsome." Auntie teased, "You're not just greedy for money, but also for looks. But to be honest, at 26, you should lower some of your unrealistic expectations." I laughed and said, "Auntie, since you're saying this, of course I've seriously thought about these conditions too. Who wouldn't want a man who's good-looking, rich, and has a compatible personality? Isn't that the ideal partner?" In the end, the conversation didn't end well between me and the matchmaker. After going home, I reflected on myself and thought the matchmaker made a good point. So I've decided that from now on, I'll focus on finding tall and handsome men. As for money, I'll put that in second place. I can make my own money, right? As for those who are both handsome and rich, I'll just leave it to fate. If I find one, great. If not, I'll take my time and wait for the right opportunity.
Nowadays, why do so many people complain that women are too materialistic and even label them as gold diggers? There are two important moments in a woman's life. One is birth, and the other is marriage. When a girl is born, family members often cheer, "We've gained 1,000 pieces of gold." Literally, 1,000 pieces of gold means a lot of money. From the moment they arrive in this world, it seems they are already linked with money. When it comes to marriage, in most regions, there is a tradition of giving a bride price. The amount of bride price given is often used to measure a woman's value and how much she is appreciated. In some places, there's even a culture of comparison. If the bride price is too low, it seems to suggest that the woman is not valuable or respected. This is another example of how marriage is invisibly tied to money. As a result, many people start to complain that women are becoming materialistic. But who is really to blame? In fact, it is some outdated concepts and bad habits that invisibly push women towards materialism, even encouraging them to pursue money and material goods. The social environment often has a huge influence on people, and to a certain extent, existence justifies its reason. These concepts and habits, although outdated, are shamelessly promoted by some people who even take them for granted, especially in families with good economic conditions. Many parents believe that daughters should be raised in wealth. They treat them as little princesses from an early age, and when they grow up, they expect them to become goddesses, enjoying luxury and endless love. However, this trend of comparison has also affected families with average economic conditions. They don't want their daughters to seem worse than others. Even if they can't afford it, they will tighten their belts to follow this trend. Your daughter is a princess. How can mine be a maid? So, despite the huge financial pressure, many families still desperately want their daughters to live a princess life. But here's the problem. All girls want to be princesses, but where are all the princes in this world? Moreover, Many princesses only know how to dress up and enjoy a materialistic life, but lack other skills. They don't want to work, can't do housework, and only know how to buy pretty clothes and eat good food. In this case, which prince would dare to marry them? How could ordinary young men bear such pressure? This has led to a huge contradiction. While people complain that women are too materialistic, there is no solution in sight. Nowadays, we are constantly fighting for women's rights and gender equality, which is an important sign of social progress. But during this process, the outdated concept of objectifying women seems to be reviving, and it's becoming even more serious. Many people selectively ignore this phenomenon. Some do so out of helplessness, while others benefit greatly from it. I hope that one day in the future, women will be respected and loved for their labor and contributions to society, not just for their gender or appearance. Have you ever met a gold digger? Feel free to leave your comments below. I'd love to hear your story. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to our channel. Your support is very important to us, and we will continue to bring you even better programs. Thank you again for watching, and see you next time.